Now, everybody knows Mordecai is the cool dude in regular show, but hold up, Rigby is the one you really gotta watch out for. On the surface, he's just a tiny raccoon, munching snacks and dodging work like it's his job. But under that fuzzy tail, this guy's got some insane power. From sending Pops to space with one punch, to fighting giant monsters. Today, we're going to be going over Rigby's 7 different levels of strength and find out just how crazy strong he really is. And even at 1% power, he's not as weak as he looks, because in the power, Rigby and Mordecai end up snagging a magic keyboard that makes anything they say come true.
Go away, big monster, go, no.
Rigby doesn't even blink an eye and says, "Send Skips to the moon," and before you know it, Skips swirls away into existence.
Go away, Skips, it's time for you to go away.
It's time for you to go to your room.
Yeah, Skips, it's time for you to go to the moon.
Skips then starts bouncing around in space like a lost ping pong ball.
Look, it's Skips, there he is!
Sure, it's technically the keyboard's magic, but Rigby's the one that was actually bold enough to say it out loud with absolutely no fear whatsoever. Not only that, he finally saved the whole park gang from being attacked by, well, whatever this thing is. But surprisingly, what most people don't know is that even with only 1% of his power, he ended up facing off against a monster. In the episode called Set Up the Chairs, when a giant monster named the Destroyer of Worlds crashes the party, Rigby doesn't just hide like a scaredy cat, or scaredy raccoon. He grabs a rock and chucks it right at the monster's face in hopes of distracting it.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, okay, it bounces off like a paper ball and does absolutely nothing, but come on, a tiny raccoon throwing a rock at a beast the size of a building in hopes to distract it and possibly kill him? That's some real bravery for a guy who'd rather be playing video games all day. But Rigby's courage went even further when he saw the monster lunging toward Mordecai. Realizing his friend was in danger, Rigby went full madman, doing absolutely whatever it took, and ended up firing 1,000,000 burgers per second at the monster, ultimately defeating it in the end.
That was some pretty sweet button mashing.
I told you I got skills.
All for his best friend. At 1% power, Rigby showed his immense bravery. But what happens when his power hits 5%? Well, at 5% power, Rigby's brain starts moving fast. In Meet Your Maker, Rigby and Mordecai mess up with the living hot dogs, who didn't want to get fried and ended up starting a rebellion. To fight them off, Rigby came up with the idea of spraying mustard all over the living hot dogs, causing them to eat each other like raging cannibals. And just like that, Rigby saved his friends and took down a whole group of wiener rebels without even using his raw strength. At 5% power, Rigby's got quick thinking and super fast reflexes that make him an absolute beast. But at 10% power, things start to change dramatically. Because in the best burger in the world, Rigby and Mordecai are dying to try the world's best burger. But their boss, Benson, keeps piling on more chores like cleaning the fountain and scrubbing the bathrooms.
Then neither one of you is going near that burger truck.
And of course, Rigby's not buying it. So he comes up with a sneaky plan to completely ditch work, outsmarting Benson and the tricky food truck guy who's guarding the burger like it's gold.
2 ultimatums!
Is that it?
Yes.
Can I get your names?
Mordecai and Rigby.
But when their holograms try to steal the burger, Rigby goes full ninja mode, jumping like a pro and instantly hurling a rock straight at his hologram, shattering it on the spot. And just like that, they destroy their copies. Even though the fight was handled by both Mordecai and Rigby, Rigby was the one who once again showed his bravery by initiating it. However, at 25% power, Rigby starts pulling off some crazy stuff that makes you go,
Whoa, dude.
At 25% power, Rigby gets a little mad, which is all it takes for things to go absolutely nuts. In Death Punchies, Rigby's sick of losing to Mordecai in Punchies, their arm punching game where Mordecai's bigger fists always win. So, Rigby sneaks off to a creepy dojo in the park and learns the Death Punch from a sketchy old dude who smells like old socks. Rigby trains like a maniac, practicing on his own wooden dresser, and of course screaming, "Ham boning!" He comes back and hits Muscle Man, Benson, and Skips all with the death punch, sending them all flying either into a house, out of the sky, and even through a wall like a cartoon cannonball. Then he smashes the ground so hard that he creates a giant crater big enough to swallow a truck. And honestly, that's superhero level strength right there that shakes the entire park. Just like that, he ended up making the whole park gang his servants thanks to his immense death punch strength. Even at just a quarter of his full strength, he's already mastering forbidden powers. But at 50% power, Rigby starts messing with the entire regular show universe itself and ends up causing some insane mayhem that we're about to get into. Because in Exit 9B, the park gets taken over by an evil guy named Garrett Bobby Ferguson Jr., who's GFB's son. And let's just say, super bad news. He brainwashes everyone except Mordecai and Rigby, turning the park into a boring office filled with cubicles and paperwork. But Rigby doesn't just hide under a desk and let it slide. He leads the charge to save the day, fighting off goons like he's in a video game. Then he helps Mordecai use a magic contract to restore Benson's memories, saving the whole park from being erased forever. This type of strength also remains the same in a bunch of full-grown geese when the park gets attacked by super mean geese who are wrecking everything, ripping out trees, breaking the park house, and much more. Rigby teams up with Mordecai and some baby ducks who combine into a giant laser-blasting duck monster. Rigby's right there, helping control the duck mech like a pro pilot, blasting the geese into another dimension with glowing laser beams and an explosion that lights up the sky.
Game over, geese.
Fools, the game of Duck, Duck, Goose will never end. There will be future lakes, future sandwiches to ruin.
Hey, geese! Step on!
Awesome!
Thanks, dudes. We couldn't have done it without you. Anytime!
Mordecai and Rigby?
So, at 50% power, Rigby's breaking all the rules of what a raccoon can do, which is just straight up awesome.
We got rid of the geese.
Yeah, and half the park along with them.
But what happens if his power goes up to 69%? At 69% power, Rigby goes completely nuts in rage against the TV. In this episode, Rigby's relentless determination and quick thinking shine as he faces the Hammer, a formidable video game boss turned real-life threat. The challenge starts with him and Mordecai battling through a brutal side-scrolling game, only to hit a wall against the Hammer, whose single punch can wipe out one's life instantly. Rigby, who always stubbornly does stupid things, tries to take on the Hammer solo, furiously mashing buttons but struggling, his frustration mounting as the game suddenly blacks out.
Aw, man, come on, come on! Rigby, you finish him off.
What?
Dude, we figured out his weakness. I'll keep the TV on while you beat the Hammer.
All right, let's do it.
But when their TV breaks and a makeshift fix brings the Hammer to life, Rigby's heart races as the monster rampages, even killing Jimmy. Poor guy.
So man, my boss found out that I gave you guys that TV and he fired me. It's cool if I crash here for a couple days. What the?
Despite the chaos, Rigby stays focused, his gamer instincts kicking in when Mordecai shouts about the Hammer's weakness: furniture. Rigby dives into the fray, hurling chairs and tables with the crew, his adrenaline pumping as they weaken the beast. In the clutch moment, Rigby's resolve peaks. He snatches a controller from the Hammer's hands and, alongside Mordecai, smashes it into the villain's head screen, landing the final blow. After winning the battle, Rigby high-fives the group like nothing even happened. But Rigby ultimately showcased his full potential when his power hit 100% in a regular epic final battle. The park gang faces Anti-Pops, a giant evil version of Pops who wants to wipe out the entire universe. In this moment, Rigby's not just tagging along, he does his level best by piloting spaceships, dodging laser blasts, and literally risking his life to protect his friends. Not only that, Mordecai and Rigby are even seen using Rigby's magic keyboard to make Anti-Pops vanish. In the end, it's the love and teamwork between Rigby, Mordecai, and the gang that beats Anti-Pops and saves the day. Rigby's heart makes him stronger than quite literally any monster or space villain, like a raccoon with a glowing, universe-saving aura. However, in Fists of Justice, we also witness Rigby's bravery at its peak. Initially, Rigby is stoked to take on Skips' chores, thinking it's an easy way to slack off while Skips prepares to fight his cosmic nemesis. But when Rigby's carelessness accidentally crushes Skips' hands under heavy equipment, he's hit with a wave of guilt, realizing he's sidelined their strongest fighter. Faced with Clorgbane, Rigby steps up, slipping on the fists of justice alongside Mordecai. The gauntlets, glowing with godly power, feel like wrestling a wild animal, overwhelming Rigby with their raw energy. He flails at first, his punches sloppy and uncontrolled, panic setting in as Clorgbane looms closer. Drawing in on his gaming instincts, Rigby treats the fists like video game controllers, mashing imaginary buttons and syncing his moves with Mordecai. This shift clicks, letting him channel the fist's power to land bone-rattling blows, ultimately toppling Clorgbane. Rigby's heart pounds with pride, his quick thinking and redemption turning a screw-up into a cosmic victory, proving he has the guts to wield real power when it counts. Now, even though we've seen Skips punching Clorgbane and sending him to another universe, this is the first time Rigby did the same, and that shows one thing. At 100% power, he can even rival Skips, despite having a comparatively tiny body. So we can now see that Rigby's not just Mordecai's sidekick. He's a tiny furry powerhouse who goes from chucking rocks at monsters 100 times his size to breaking reality and saving the universe. He's smashing TVs, outsmarting villains, and zooming through space like a raccoon rocket. But his real power? That's his love for Mordecai and the park crew. If Rigby and Mordecai ever fused like some cartoon superheroes, the whole universe would be toast. Instant game over to any villains who challenge them. Love the wild exploration? Just keep watching the regular recap. Subscribe.